Happy Wednesday, friends. As of today, I am officially 2 months into my cut with RP. I told you guys I was giving you monthly updates, so here's update numero dos. So the last time I gave you guys an update, we went through what a full day of eating looks like for me on a cut. This time, along with this update, I am also going to be giving you my 4 favorite meal prep recipes. I'm going to give you 2 proteins and 2 carbs because I find that those are the hardest things to have ready to go. And so I like to prep them in bulk so that I can throw together meals pretty easily during the week, and I don't really have to think about cooking. And I'm also going to be answering your questions. On Monday, I posted an Instagram and I said, if you have questions about my cut, put them in the comments. I am going to answer 5 of the most common questions. I tried to answer some others in the actual comment section, but I'm also gonna link to a few of my other videos at the end of this one that might help you out with other questions I didn't get to. So, how this is gonna go, I'm gonna answer a question, and then I'm gonna show you a recipe. And we're just gonna keep popping back and forth until we get through 5 questions and 4 recipes. And then at the very end, I will give you a before and after picture numbers update. Are you ready? First question, do I do more cardio while I'm on a cut? My answer, no. That's the short answer. Long answer is I'm already in the gym for 3 hours a day, 5 times a week. I don't feel a need to add in more cardio. That being said, adding in extra cardio is a good option for a lot of other people. I just choose not to do it. Okay, now on to the recipe. I answered a very simple question. Now I'm gonna give you a very simple recipe. This first recipe is just shredded chicken, and it is so convenient to have because I can literally do a billion things with it. So you need a crock pot, and the first thing I do is put in a marinade. My personal favorite is this black garlic marinade that I'm showing you, but you can also use salsa, buffalo sauce. Now, when choosing a marinade, I try to choose a marinade that aligns with the RP rules. There is less than 5 carbs a serving. And we usually will do a different marinade every time we cook the chicken so that we don't get too sick of chicken. After the marinade is in the crock pot, you just plop the chicken in. We do about 4 pounds of chicken at a time. Cover it, turn it on high, and forget about it for 3 hours. After 3 hours goes by, I come back and I shred the chicken. And then once I've shredded the chicken, I let it sit in the marinade either on low or on warm, depending on how cooked it is, for another half hour, an hour, and then we just scoop it out and toss it in a Tupperware and throw it in the fridge. This is the easiest thing, and it's so good to just always have chicken on hand because I find quick and easy proteins the hardest thing to do. So that's that. Second question, am I hungry? You know, the one thing I like about RP is that for the most part, no, I'm not hungry. So on days I'm training, I definitely feel like I'm getting enough food. I am not hungry on those days. On rest days, I do get a little bit hungry because of the lack of carbs. But that being said, I am trying to lose weight. Hunger is okay. I'm not starving, I'm just a little hungry. So I drink some water and eat some extra vegetables and kind of just deal with it, because if you want to lose weight, that's kind of the name of the game. Okay, second recipe. This recipe is something that I just started making and I really like it. It's a quinoa tabbouleh that is actually in the RP cookbook. For those of you that have had real tabbouleh, which is an Arab dish that I pretty much grew up on, it's really not, it's not the same. But that being said, it is delicious. Basically, this is just kind of like a cold quinoa salad. Maybe you can look at it that way. So the first step obviously is cooking the quinoa. The more you need, the more you can make. It's really simple. You can just, you know, double the amounts in the recipes if that's what you want to do, if you really need a lot of it. Second step, add in all the other ingredients. So there's like scallions, tomatoes, cucumbers, and then some like lemon juice, lime juice, salt and pepper if you want it. Once the quinoa is cooked, it's actually really, really simple. And here's how you're going to measure it out for your meals. You know, for example, that you made 6 servings. So once the quinoa is cooked and all the other ingredients are added in, I weigh it. So I know the total number of grams, and then I divide that number by 6 so that I know how much a serving should weigh. And I know that a serving is 19 grams of carbs because that's what the recipe told me. 2 down, 3/2 to go. Next question. What about cravings? A lot of you guys ask me about cravings. I have a sweet tooth. How do I get rid of cravings? Are you having cravings, etc., etc.? Let's start here. Do I have cravings? Not really. The first few weeks when I start, yes, I do have cravings because all of that stuff is kind of still in my system. I usually find that after 2 or 3 weeks of being pretty strict, those cravings go away. That being said, I am a woman and I do PMS, and I definitely get cravings every time I'm PMSing. How do I deal with that? I acknowledge that it's just PMS and I try to ignore it. I try not to indulge it with cheat meals. I don't do cheat meals. That's not really in my vocabulary. I hate the concept of cheat meals. But, you know, there are certain things that I have fit into my diet that are still clean but can sometimes satisfy those cravings. For example, I have like whole grain pitas. So if I want chips, I make my own chips with the whole grain pitas in the oven. If I want something sweet, I have, you know, I showed you guys a couple of times these Kodiak pancakes that I have. So there are some healthy options that I kind of eat anyway, but all of that is fit into my diet and measured appropriately and is not necessarily an indulgence, but more of like me tricking myself. So I don't do cheat meals. I don't do takeout. I satisfy what very few cravings I have in a healthy and RP approved way. So that's my answer for that. On to our third recipe. Oh guys, man, I love to make these. I don't know what it is, but I just love them. My third recipe is another protein, and they are turkey meatballs. I got this recipe from a friend, but it's pretty simple. Basically, we just get ground turkey, lean ground turkey. We make sure it's at least 90% lean, and we do about 4 pounds of this at a time as well, just because Jacob and I share proteins, so they tend to go pretty quickly. Basically, we just toss the ground turkey in a bowl with all the other ingredients, which is 4 eggs, a bunch of garlic, a bunch of basil, a bunch of parsley, a bunch of other spices, and then we just mash them all together. And then, to make our life easier on the other end, we measure out the meatballs in 1 ounce servings. So to factor in for all of the like spices and the eggs and stuff, we'll weigh out about 1.1, 1.2 pounds per meatball. Then we line them all up on 2 baking trays, and then we toss them in the oven. Usually like 12 minutes, take them out, flip them around, put them back in the oven for like another 12 minutes. Then we have a bunch of meatballs. It usually makes like 50 something meatballs, and each meatball is 1 ounce of meat or 6 grams of protein. And so that way we know like whatever our macros are for that meal, we just grab as many meatballs as we need. So that's our third recipe. And now for the next question. Do you feel an effect on your energy and or performance either at different body weights or while you are in deficit? So, yes. Short answer, yes, I feel a difference. The leaner I am, the easier my gymnastics is, the faster I am, and I actually feel pretty high energy. I have yet to need to drop into so much of a deficit that I feel a negative effect on my energy or performance. That's probably just me being lucky. I know a lot of people do have to tend to drop into a pretty significant deficit by the end of their cut, and they do say they experience a negative effect on their performance and on their energy levels. I haven't had to hit that point yet, thankfully. My performance feels good, my energy feels good, I'm still losing weight. I realize that this is not a position that many people find themselves in while they're cutting. A lot of people feel a drop in energy, a drop in performance. They have to go deep into a deficit when they want to start seeing results this far in. I just kind of have lucked out, and I'm very grateful for that because I haven't had to sacrifice performance for weight loss yet. All right, last recipe. Jacob usually makes this one, but I benefit from it, and it's a recipe that we have found on the FitMenCook app. I don't know how many of you guys know about this app, but we really like it, and it's got a lot of great recipes on it. Basically, you just boil a bunch of sweet potatoes, cook a bunch of quinoa, and then you toss them in a bowl together with some other ingredients like cranberries and jalapenos. But we measure these out into equally portioned patties, and then we toss them in the oven and we bake them, and then we bake them into these like sweet potato patty burger things. I'm not sure how much each one weighs, but I do know that each one is like 26 grams of carbs. And that's the last recipe. So now for the last question. What's the hardest part? The hardest part is the mental game. And I think that's gonna be true for anyone. You really have to be ready to commit to your goals. And if you're not ready to commit to your goals, all the other parts are going to be even harder. So a lot of you guys, you know, similarly ask me, how do you stay motivated? How do you stay on track? And it's like, you really just got to get your head right, and you've got to decide that your goals are the most important thing to you. So why not do everything in your power to reach them? You just got to get your priorities straight. And once your priorities are straight and you realize what your most important goal is, whether that's feeling good, getting lean, gaining weight, whatever that goal is, you now have to make it your top priority. And if it is your top priority, everything else should be easier to do or not do. So the hardest part is getting your head right. Dedication and determination. Those things take place of motivation. And so I hit that point a little while ago, and so this cut has been pretty easy. So yeah. So that's that, guys. 5 questions, 4 recipes. I hope it was all helpful. And like I said, now we're gonna play the numbers game. I am 2 months / 8 weeks into this cut. I've got another month to go. And since the beginning, I have now officially lost 8 pounds. I've gone from 134 to 126. I feel great. I'm very happy and having a good time. One month more, 4 more weeks. I don't really know what number I want to hit at this point. I think I'll have a better idea of that once the open is over, where I want to get to in the last 2 to 3 weeks of cutting post open. So, thank you guys for watching. I hope this was helpful and maybe a little bit entertaining. Be sure to like and subscribe. If there's a question that I did not answer for you in this video, check one of these other videos. I probably have answered it there. And if you still have more questions, I encourage you to go to the RP website, which is linked in the description, because they have a ton of information. And that's all for today. See ya.